Greetings, Dr. Lopez and fellow students. My name is Constantine Kowalia. I am currently enrolled in the MPA program here at Claremont Lincoln University. I attended undergraduate at Regis University in Denver, Colorado, where I majored in political science and criminal justice, basically marrying those two unique disciplines together. I'm currently employed as a transitional housing coordinator for the Contra Costa County Parole Division. The Parole Division is a subset of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, specifically within the Division of Adult Reentry Services. Located in the Bay Area, Contra Costa County is home to at least 1.5 million people, and there are approximately 36,000 people who are on parole in the state of California. As it relates to Contra Costa, I estimate about 5,000 to 6,000 according to recent data. Um, each year, the Department of Corrections releases about 35,000 people, and this can be due to a number of factors, mostly due to the expiration of their sentences, commutation of sentences, or simply just some delays that happen within the internal system. But parole simply means that an offender has been released, and prior to the expiration of the court imposed date, they've given up certain privileges or certain advantages, for example, being subject to certain terms and conditions in what we call a post supervised community release setting, PCRS, where parolees agree to search and seizure at all times or direct contact with law enforcement, etc. As a transitional housing coordinator, I work with inmates while they're still inside to facilitate and prepare for their release, essentially focusing on housing. The Western Center on Law and Poverty actually conducted a study during which they concluded that formerly incarcerated people at least 10 times more likely to be homeless than in the general public. So this is data that we actually take really seriously because we want to be able to isolate and find out what those factors that contribute to recidivism are, right? So the prison policy initiative, which is a group that we work with all the time, supplemented this research by showing that at least 15% of people who experience homelessness are likely to be incarcerated at least within a year before they're coming to contact within the prison system, or a year even after. So we have to make sure that we're keeping a watch for these risk factors. And in the county of Contra Costa, we have at least 6,000 people who are homeless. So again, there is that likelihood, at least for 15% of them, that they will be subject to a prison sentence, right, due to extenuating factors. So one of the things that I'm proud of during my career is the cross training that I received. So prior to becoming a coordinator, I was a program assistant for the Division of Adult Reentry Services, at least one of the many coordinators. And during that time, I got to work in developing partnerships with nonprofit companies in the state that aid into rendering services such as education assistance for parolees, job readiness, employment for parolees, because there's certain companies that definitely have restrictions when it comes to people who have prison records and everything like that. So we want to make sure that we still give voice to them. And like I said, these three facets, employment, actually four facets, employment, job readiness, housing, and education are really important because, again, we've looked at them to be really large contributing factors when it comes to the recidivism rate in the state of California. Speaking of which, CDCR, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations, released data in which they showed at least 60% of individuals who are released from prison are more likely to reoffend within the first 3 years of their release. So us as the Division of Adult Reentry Services, we have to work to see how we can lower that number because of the cost that it has not only to the state, but to the taxpayer as well too. In thinking about the wicked problems that I face in my context, I like to highlight the fact that when it comes to reentry services, there are multiple stakeholders at play. And when you have multiple stakeholders, they all have competing interests. So that times makes it a little bit hard, right, to facilitate and to give voice. For example, we typically have been criticized for not giving inmates voice in terms of housing and job readiness and employment as it comes to what decision or what input they have. You know, it's state prescribed, it's state mandated, it's a judge's order that this inmate should do this, or a judge's order that this inmate should do that. So that's one of the things that we have to marry. Um, in looking at to this class, I'm looking forward to becoming how to become a better leader and how to facilitate when it comes to having stakeholders that have competing interests. Thank you.